been great. Moving fast at first, obviously, drinking from a fire hose. It's just the first few weeks, but every coach, every staff member was great, just helping me get acclimated with the transition from the head man to the support staff. I was just super grateful for everyone pointing me in the direction. Once I had a chance to kind of breathe and see how things were ran here at USC, it was much easier to just get caught up in the flow and just take my next step forward.
Now that you've had 15 practices to kind of assess your groups, just what have you thought on the personnel you inherited and what you're working with?
Yeah, with the inside guys, I mean, we did have the injury bug with a few guys, but they're good now, and so didn't get a fair assessment on all bodies, but I know we definitely have what it takes to be a good team with that group. I'm excited to see what Mekhi Lemon can do for us. I know he's a great player. He had a great year last year, but we're looking to be better, and I just had my exit meeting with him, and he's hungry than it's ever been in the past, and we're excited to set some goals and go accomplish them. And then with the tight ends, I mean, we got some different body types, you got different skill sets, and so it's my job to just keep fine-tuning them. But I believe the guys that got the most reps definitely took the right step forward. And we look back with all 15 practices, you could say they definitely did get better.
Any kind of surprises from camp, just with your guys or anything that happened?
Not necessarily. No surprises. It was just good to be out there and get that in-person evaluation with my guys and to see what we need to address in terms of what we need to coach this summer and this fall camp. Walker Lyons, I thought he had a great spring camp. He got better in the run game, and his contested catch rate was really impressive when the ball was coming his way.
From what you saw, the off-season workouts to spring, anything as far as assessment goes, it's easier to make an assessment when they have pads on everything, but anything kind of stand out to you from going from the winter workouts to the spring?
Yeah, I mean, just some areas of emphasis that I'm always going to be preaching with my guys are perimeter blocking. At the end of the day, perimeter blocking is attitude and effort, so you could push as much weight as possible. You could be a 250-pound guy, you could be 150 pounds. All it is attitude and effort, and so if you're a willing blocker, we're going to be able to execute. And so it's really just kind of shaping the philosophy, shaping the mindset in the rooms, and understand how we're going to operate every single day.
Walker Matthews is someone who looks the part physically. Can you tell us what you've learned about him this spring and just what you've seen, obviously?
Yeah, he's got a unique skill set. I mean, you look at his size, he's 6'6", 280 pounds. And so a guy with that size, but also with his ball skills and fluid movements, it makes my job exciting because you want to be able to coach and work with something like that. And so he's definitely got the skill set. I'm excited to work with him. There's an area of emphasis that we got to be better at, and he knows where we got to be better at, and so we're definitely on the same page with that.
I feel like when people see his body, they say future left tackle. Just how do you kind of balance, like, hey, let's focus on tight ends?
I mean, I think people are always going to say that. I mean, based off his size, future left tackle, but he's a tight end for us, and I'm the tight end inside receivers coach, and so I'm going to coach him to be a best tight end. And he's got a very unique skill set, like I said. I mean, not many guys can run as fluid like he can. It's just getting him to understand in our offense, you got to be a tight end that's good in space. And so can you sink your hips? Can you start and stop? Can you cover somebody up in the run game in space? And then just fine-tuning his footwork and hand placement at the point of attack when he's an end-line tight end. If we do all that, we'll be in a good spot.
Working with Dennis Simmons, how has that been? The relationship with you?
It's been great. Right now, I'm in charge of all wide receiver Indy, and so him and I work hand in hand today. Not today at practice, but at all practices. If you guys saw practice, I'm the one kind of conducting the drills, but him and I speak the same language in terms of technique, what we're emphasizing that day, and so him and I speak the same language. We see eye to eye on everything, and it's just been great working with Coach Simmons. He's been a huge asset to this transition, and I'm just excited to keep moving forward with him.
What have you seen from DJ Jordan for these 15 practices?
So DJ Jordan, he's technically on the outside room, so he's not in my position meeting room. So that'd be a question for Coach Simmons.
For spring recruiting, it's been pretty much a whirl. You weren't here before, but it's been a little different feel for it. What's it been like for you, kind of stepping into this, known as a good recruiter, and then seeing how USC's been able to recruit well this 2026 class?
Yeah, there's no surprise, really. I mean, you look at SC, this is the standard. I mean, this is what it should be, and this is what we're going to do going forward. I mean, we're not going to settle for anything less. We know what it takes to be a good program. Coaches know what it takes to be a good program, and so we're going to go get the best players. We're going to focus on California recruitment, but I think the momentum is real, and so we're just going to continue to get the best players out there. But we're excited to go on the road. We start going on the road tomorrow, and we're going to be in homes visiting with families. We're going to be at schools, and we're excited to just keep building these relationships and preaching to them that, hey, this is the place to be, and you don't want to drag your feet much longer, because if you do, you might miss out on an opportunity.
You had a lot of unofficial visitors come through. I mean,
We have.
recruiting in Colorado, like, it's harder to get that. They're
No
all
doubt.
local guys. Like, what was that experience been like, where you can get guys just to drive over?
Just the access, number one. At Colorado State, it's obviously different because guys got to either pay for a plane ride to get out there. And we did focus on Southern California recruitment there, but being here at SC, guys can drive 30 minutes, drive 2 hours, and they can be here on campus. And so just the access to come to practice, to come to meetings, and just to come see the facility. You've got kids almost 6-7 days a week when the NCAA allows them to be on campus.
When you recruit the position of slot receiver versus tight end, is there any kind of overlap in how that, or what you look for, or how you do that?
I got different parameters. I think the one overlap would just be mindset and just someone that loves the game of football and competitive spirit. You want someone who wants to be a good player, to be the best version of themselves, but in terms of physical attributes, there's going to be different lists of parameters I'm looking for in terms of that.
Obviously, USC is a big recruiting brand, but I know locally it's been kind of up and down the past couple of years. Have you noticed a shift in maybe perception this cycle with local kids?
No doubt. Obviously, I can't speak on what's happened here in the past, but it just sounds like there's a different excitement going around here with the local kids, and I think there's a lot more local foot traffic in the building, whether it was high school coaches or local players coming around, and so it was definitely good to see. But again, this is just the beginning, and we're excited to keep going.
You got a deep tight end room, maybe not been utilized as much as some, especially fans, would like to see in the past. Like, how do you kind of keep everybody happy, knowing that there's a lot of talented players in there?
Well, guys got to understand, number one, they got to compete, right? There's no free handouts, and they got to earn their stripes every single day, because that's how it's going to be at the NFL. You got to earn your stripes every single day, and you got to prove your value. And so whatever your value is, you got to show that every single day, and you got to be consistent with your approach. But I ask the guys, what is your value? I've got to be able to see that as your position coach. And so when I'm evaluating all those things to keep guys happy, at the end of the day, they show us who they are as players. If you're lazy in the meeting room, if you're going to be lazy in our individual drills, you're showing me you're a lazy player. But if you're detailed in the meeting room, if you're detail-oriented in practice, if you're asking questions on how to get better, you're showing me you're a player that wants to be better, right? And so guys, just based off how they go about their daily life, they show us on who they are. I'm excited to coach all 6 tight ends that we have, and there's unique skill sets from size, from speed, from ball skills, from physical ability in the run game. And so it's just my job to really identify their weaknesses and just keep building on their strengths.
How do you balance wanting to get better in the room versus letting like a young guy develop? How do you balance that, like talking about like the portal, and like bringing in a vet versus letting a young guy develop?
I think you just got to draw the fine line of how far off are they in terms of development. Nowadays in college football, the clock isn't as long as it used to be, right? If a guy can't show you that he can play at this level really within a year and a half after that spring, maybe it's time to move on or go get somebody else. But I'm always going to give somebody a chance, and it's my job as a coach to help them develop those talents, right? You can't just write somebody off by not putting in the work to coach them. That's why I'm here. It's my job to help develop these guys. And so for me to just write somebody off after one spring, that's not fair. That would just show that I'm not worthy of being a coach here.
What have you seen from Joey Olsen?
Joey Olsen, great kid. I compliment him on his attitude every single day. He's one of the most positive human beings I've ever been around. He's always got a smile on his face. All of his teammates respect him. He's got the ball skills, obviously being a high school receiver, and so now just taking that next step in the run game, perimeter blocking game, and I think that'll come with his strengths that he makes over the spring and summer in the weight room too. But super excited to coach Joey. He's a very smart player, and his attitude and just how he approaches every single day are amazing.
What's the adjustment period been like for you in terms of learning the offense? Obviously, from 2 different positions. What's that been like? What's been consistent?
I mean, and this is no joke, Lincoln is one of the best offensive minds I've ever been around. I haven't had the resume of being at a lot of schools like other people, but just his knowledge, how he conducts an offense is second to none. He's calm, cool, collected. He's very detailed, but just how he attacks defenses, how he understands space from splits to route alignment. He's one of the best in the business, and so I'm just so excited to work under him and to help him be the best head coach he can be, because I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Lincoln Riley. And you look at this offense, the first thing that was, because there's always crossover in terminology, we were an air raid staple at Colorado State too, and so there were some crossover in terms, and so it was just me erasing those old terms from my word bank in my memory and to adapt to how we call things here at USC. But super excited to work under Coach Riley to help him take this program to the next step, and I know we're capable of doing so. But he's one of the best offensive minds, and that's what recruits have to understand too. You play for Lincoln Riley, he's going to help you achieve all you want from an offensive player. And numbers don't lie. You look at the top offense he's had and Heisman Trophy winners. Some coaches work 50 years for having that, and he's done it in the last 9-10 years.
You came in and they revamped the personnel staff. You're known as a recruiting, guru out there. How's that helped you and the rest of the staff recruit with all the extra support that's been?
It's been awesome. Chad Bowden, just his energy, his vision, and how aggressive he is, I see eye to eye with everything. I'm a very competitive, aggressive person myself, and so when Chad got in the building, I loved it. I love working with Chad every single day. Him and I are texting almost every second of the day, calling each other at night about recruits, about what we see in a player, maybe some red flags about a player, but we're constantly talking about talent, so I love it. But I just love his vision, his energy, and what he envisions for this program, because he's one of the best. You saw what he did at Notre Dame and the success they had there in such a short time. And so for him to be here under the same roof as us, I'm super excited.
We're not really cousins, right? I'm sorry.
No, we're not cousins. People,
Gavin joked that you're cousins.
Yeah, Gavin was joking about that. We're not cousins, but people will say like the Chads. And it's funny because like some will say Chad in the hallway and we'll both look. And I think last Monday we were wearing like the exact same outfit. So it was pretty funny. Yeah, but super excited to be under his leadership. He's one of the best, and I think you feel his presence every single day because people understand how he operates and what he wants for this program, and so we're just going to keep taking that next step forward.
Do you find yourself learning more?
Every single day, yeah. I view myself as a learner, right? Whether it's something in the recruiting evaluation side, whether it's something from an offensive standpoint, with special teams, how to run a program. I want to be a head coach one day, and so I'm always trying to figure out how I can be a better version of myself, but I'm always looking to learn.
What was your assessment of special teams? I know you were working. We get to watch parts of practice. You're doing some of the kick return or punt return.
Yep,
stuff.
I'm coaching the punt returners.
Yeah. So what's kind of that been like for you?
So we didn't have a ton of live punt returns in spring practice. Coach Doherty can obviously touch on that more, but just the pre-practice ball drills that we were doing with those guys. Obviously, we got some elite returners. Kai Lemon being one of them. He was down for a few practices, but just the few practices he was out there, you can see the glimpses of what he's capable of doing in the return game. So excited to coach him up and watch him make plays on Saturdays because he's got what it takes to be an elite returner at this level.
When you looked at special teams, any film from last year, with punt return specifically, is there anything you looked at and said, hey, here's things we can definitely do better, or
I think
schematically or anything?
The biggest thing with the punt returner is just level of trust, right? It's our job as punt returners to get the ball to the offense, right? Some guys are going to try to do too much. They're going to catch the ball outside the frame. They're not going to be square getting to the ball. And if there's someone we can't trust with their decision-making, they're probably not going to be back there. So it's really just building that level of trust with the returners that we want out there so we can help the offense and get them in the right field position to be successful. But if someone's going to be lackadaisical with the ball or their judgment, it's probably not a guy for us, right? And so just constantly evaluating that.
Is there like a scale where you're like, this dude's really electric, but there's questions about ball?
Oh, without a doubt.
Or
I mean, there's some
he's
players.
super solid, we just want to do it.
Yeah, I think every team's going to be in that boat where you're going to have an electric player, but you can't trust him because of his decision making. And so you got to figure out what outweighs the other. Is it the talent and how much juice he's got, or is it the level of trust? And so it's our job as coaches to draw that fine line on, okay, he's a great returner, but can we trust him when there's 100,000 people in the stands and you're on national TV to make the right decision to put us in a position of success?
There's something you look at, if you just walked into a roster, didn't know anyone, and like how you would identify, I think these guys could be good return men, or punt returners. Right?
Yeah, I think just ball skills, ability to put their foot in the ground, and start and stop ability, one cut ability, all that factors into returner.
Is there any former players or people that you like, hey, this is what the ideal punt returner kind of looks like that you would point to? Like, here's the standard you'd like to get to.
I went to school with a guy named Jamal Agnew, and he's been an all-pro punt returner. So I'll pick his brain on a few things, but he's definitely had success at the NFL level. And so for him to be all-pro and make a living off punt returning, it shows you that he knows what he's talking about.
Is there,
What do you see him kind of growing his game? And what does he need to work on to kind of grow his game to the next level?
Him and I just talked, right? I mean, obviously this offseason focusing on what he can control. What can he control right now? It's diet, it's getting healthy, and so that's with football practices coming to an end. That's something he's going to focus on. And then when we get to the field, I told him my evaluation is a little different because he didn't have all 15 practices, but just going through some of the cut-ups with him, we'll have a plan with just being as efficient as we can with route running, understanding route integrity, where we got to be when the quarterback's foot's in the ground and during his progression, perimeter blocking, understand where the run's designed to go, how guys are going to react. And so just being on the same page, understanding my vision, how I'm going to operate the meeting room, and him really just seeing eye to eye with me. But super excited to coach him. He's been great. He's great in the meeting room. He kind of sets the tone for how we operate in the inside receiver room. And I just told him, hey, man, like this offense goes as you go. And so you got to be consistent with your approach every single day. And if you do that, good things are going to happen for this program.
Everything going good in Southern California? So
loving
far?
it. Yeah, loving it. It's just a blessing to be here. It's really a dream come true. Like sometimes I'll pinch myself while I'm really coaching here at USC. So it's definitely a dream, but it's the people that make this place go. From the head man to Jen Cohen in administration, from Jay Hildebrand, from all the offense coaches, defense, support staff. I'm excited to come to work every single day. I enjoy it, and I'm just so excited for what's to come in the near future.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Did you get a bunch of support from the administration, from Jen Cohen and that crew? Like, is it stuff that you would need to ask for, or anything?
I'm not in the lane to ask for stuff. I think whatever. I've been at lesser programs where we don't have the resources that USC has, and so I will always raise and built on whatever you have, work with that, right? And so, but I know Jen and Jay are so supportive of whatever we need. They're obviously going to accommodate us, but I stay in my lane. That's not my job to ask administration for additional stuff, because I know we got what it takes to be successful here at USC. But just the day I took the job, speaking with her on the phone, her vision on what she sees for USC and what she's got planned here for this university is special. I had goosebumps talking to her on the phone because I just realized how of a special leader she was, and what she's got going for USC.
You've been in the recruiting world. Do you pay attention to the rankings at all, or if it's a 4-star or whatever?
You can't. Because I've seen 5 stars that don't pan out, and I've seen 3 stars go in the NFL. And so I think fans will get caught up in the 4-star, 5-star, where the rankings are. And yes, it's cool to be at the top spot or in the top 5, whatever it may be, but none of that matters if you don't win games in the fall. And so we're not here to win the offseason. We're here to win games in the fall. And I've had some really good players in the past that have had 1 or 2 offers, and those guys are going on to play in the NFL. And so you can't get caught up with the rankings, but I firmly believe if you see something in your evaluation, you got to stand tall with that, and you got to stand on the table, because if you believe that player can play, he could probably play. If you have any reservations, then you got to speak up on those reservations, and everyone's got to be on the same page when you're evaluating.
What do you think is more important as far as being able to be a good recruiter, like it's a politician, you remember people's names and all that kind of stuff, but also you mentioned the evaluation side, knowing which guys you need to go after? I mean, I know they're both important, but is there how do you kind of measure those?
I mean, it's both. The valuation standpoint, you got to see what you're looking for. I mean, you got to see, depending on what position you're coaching. But I've seen some guys that are poor evaluators. I've had misses in the past too.
Yeah.
But you also got to have that relationship part where can you relate to this person where they're excited to get on the phone with you. They want to respond to your text messages. They want to come play for you. And so I don't know if there's one that outweighs the other. Evaluation, obviously, can that player make plays and have success in your scheme? That factors in, right? But they're not going to be able to play for you if they don't want to be there with you.
Yeah. Do you follow the draft much at all? I mean, the evaluation there is, I mean, obviously different than high school
Right.
evaluation or even college, but yeah, do you follow that at all? Like,
I do. Obviously, it's a little different. It's not necessarily different, but like last year when I was at Colorado State, I was talking with scouts every single day because of one of the receivers I had. And it just shows you what questions they ask. But you, as an evaluator, I can also learn from some of those questions.
Okay.
They're looking for this, or they see this in practice, or maybe they see how this guy's body language affects them. And so I can kind of pick their brain and be like, that's what they're looking for at the NFL. Now I can kind of use that to my checklist when I'm looking at guys.
What are you specifically looking for in tight ends? I'm sure there's probably a lot of characteristics, but I mean, even to the personality part.
In the physical skill set, you want like a power forward body type. Someone that's got the length, but is also physical enough to execute in the blocking game. Because we are in the Big Ten, right?
Yeah.
And so we're going to be in one of the most physical leagues, but can that guy be physical at the point of attack? He's an end-line tight end, but at the same time, with what we do offensively in the pass game, does he have feel for space? And so I think if you compare it to that power forward body type, they got to be fluid in their movements. They got to understand space, and they got to be able to play with their feet underneath them. And so that's what we're looking for. With the mindset, I just want someone that's willing to roll up their sleeves, go to work every single day, and they'll put their face in the fan if they need to. And it's not if they need to, they're going to have to.
You guys, at least towards the end, it seemed like you had a couple tight ends left, but you got some good ones that weren't practicing.
For sure.
Walter Matthews was somebody, I don't know how much he practiced last year, but what did you see from him in the 14-15 practices that you guys had?
He's got a unique skill set. I mean, being 6'6", 280 pounds, right? Some people are going to say, oh, that's an offensive lineman. Well, he's in the tight end room, so he's a tight end. It's my job to help fine-tune what he's got going. He's got a unique moving ability, whether it's vertical speed, lateral movements. He's got some foot speed, so now it's just in the route running ability. Can he sink his hips? Can he start and stop? Understanding that your hands and feet move together. Really just have that attack mindset. Like if there's a ball coming your way, play to your size. You're 6'6", 280. Let's go play to our size and make those plays. But I'm just super excited to coach him. With him being a freshman, I want to build good habits and instill good habits, and so we can go in the right direction. But super excited to coach Walter.
Walker showed up last year, I think in June, and the season starts a couple months later.
Yep.
I mean, to take a year off and do that is probably as challenging as it gets. What did you see from him also this spring? Because he seemed to have gotten a lot of praise from Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, he just proved that he's somebody we can rely on. He's somebody we can depend on. From the 15 practices, he got better every single day. And there were plays that I noted saying, like, hey, here's practice number 1, here's practice number 5. Look at it's the exact same plays, but look how much you got better. So, number 1, he's got the coachability, right? Because now he's taking what we're saying and he's applying it to his game. And so he's definitely getting better in that. But he just carries himself with the right demeanor. He's got that mindset where he's looking to get better every single day. He's willing in the run game, but really his contested catch ability is second to none. The ball comes his way, he's going to find a way to make that catch. And so super excited to really just, like you said, get the dust off because he got here in June. He had the freshman year. He was on a mission prior to coming to USC, and so going for that amount of time without playing football, there's some dust. And so now we're just going to kind of get that out of his system and really just keep taking our steps in the right direction.
We had an opportunity to talk with you probably a few months ago now, but what we all get USC is a program that people have looked upon. It's a brand and so on. But what ultimately got you here?
It's just an amazing opportunity. I mean, as a child, and I know everybody says this, but USC is the one. I mean, all the history, tradition. Like when you walk up these stairs, you see the Heisman trophies, right? You see the national championships. USC is the really the top of college football, right? And now it's our job to get USC back to where we belong, and I know we can do so with the people we got in the building. But it was really a no-brainer, and I'm so grateful for Coach Norvell and what he gave me the opportunity at Colorado State. But from Colorado State to USC, you don't even have to blink, right? It's really a no-brainer. And he knew that too. When I informed Coach Norvell that this job was coming, he said, "You can't turn your head on that one. That's USC. You got to take it." And so, for him to understand that, for Coach Riley to present the opportunity, I'm just super grateful.
God, hats off to him, because you guys had some damn good football coaches there.
Yeah, we did.
I mean, I know a few of them. You know, and has Southern California always been? Actually, I want to ask you about inside receivers.
Okay.
Just talk about the guys how they performed in the spring for you.
Yeah, so we had some guys banged up that didn't get a ton of reps, but the guys that did perform, I thought they did a great job. Josiah Zamora, being a veteran guy in the room, he's a guy that we can rely on, depend on.
Yeah.
When the ball came his way, he made a play, and it just shows you that he's one of the most detail-oriented guys, and that pays off when he's on the field. And so I thought he had a great spring. His brother was out there too, Seth Zamora.
Yeah.
Colin Fast, he was a walk-on that I thought had another great spring. Really, I mean, all of them. You can go down to Corey, Jay Fair, Makai Lemon. All these guys did a good job, and I think they all took a step in the right direction. Some guys had some injury bugs that we were dealing with, so they didn't have all 15 practices, but it's definitely a group I'm excited to coach.
I love hearing that about Josiah.
Yep.
Is he gonna? I don't have to film it, but is that somebody you expect to play this year?
I think he'll know his role and he'll embrace it, but he'll definitely be involved in the game plan for sure.
Okay. I don't have to use that.
Yep.
Corey, this is another young guy that comes in. The one thing he has is the physicality, probably, to play right away.
Corey Sims.
Sims.
Okay.
Yeah. Where does he have to maybe work on to get him?
He's an outside receiver, so that'll be a question to probably want to ask Coach Simmons. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not even sure who in each other's rooms. We see you working out and drills and all that.
Yeah. So Coach Riley has me in charge of all wide receiver individual. So I'm in charge of inside and outside receiver development.
I got it now.
So you'll see us working together on the sideline as inside and outside units together.
Okay.
But in terms of like meeting rooms or structure, the guys that I have are Makai Lemon, Jay Fair, Josiah Zamora, Seth Zamora, Colin Fassi, and Corey Neuhaus.
Okay.
Yep.
Got it. When you're out recruiting, what are the characteristics that you're looking for in your guys?
For inside receivers, playmaking ability. Do you have the playmaking ability to catch that ball and make a guy miss and take it to the end zone? Because I can turn on anybody in America where they're going to catch the ball and get 20 yards, right? So can you make defenders miss? Can you get behind the defense? Short space quickness, lateral movements, one cut ability, all that stuff factors in. I love multi-sport athletes. It's rare nowadays, unfortunately, but whether they're a track kid, basketball, baseball, I love multi-sport athletes because I believe the athlete, when it's 3rd and 5, the athlete shows up, right? And so those ball skills, that hand-eye coordination is going to show up and they can be able to make a play for you. But those are just some of the attributes I'm looking for.
What boxes do you guys need to check on the personality component of recruiting these guys?
There's a lot to it. There's a lot of different boxes. Personality, I mean, you can just see their demeanor and how they carry themselves. Are they a confident kid? Are they reserved? I think you can see that. How are they with their parents? I mean, if the kid's not reaching out to you and the parents reaching out to you more than the kid, I think that's a question mark. Injuries are really big nowadays. I always ask guys, have you ever missed a game due to an injury? And if they have, then we got to do our job as a staff to see how significant is that injury, to see if it's going to affect if they do come to USC. Is he going to hold them back?
Yeah. You came in here with kind of a high reputation among the high school football coaches in Southern California. And you guys are now going to start hitting the road here probably tomorrow, for all I know.
Yep, I'll be out tomorrow.
What over the years, what has been important to you when you do visit these schools?
Really, if you set a time, be on time. number one. I mean, don't just tell them, hey, I'm going to come by tomorrow Thursday. If you tell them you're going to be there at 11:30, be there at 11:30 to respect their time. Once you're in the building with those coaches, ask questions. Ask questions about the prospects they have, maybe guys they played on opposing rosters, because they're going to tell you the best players they faced. Ask them every question in the book about their athletes, because they're going to tell you too. They understand we've got a job, they've got a job, and we won't go back to the school if they're not telling us the honest truth. And so I think just building that level of trust where they can tell us how they feel about their players, and then also being honest with how we feel about their players. If they might have a guy with all these offers but we don't see fit, we got to explain why. They might have questions about a lot of different stuff, and so you got to give your honest opinion. But I think just giving them the time of day and spending quality time with them, and then being good with your cell phone. I think a lot of guys want to turn this phone off all the time. If a coach calls me or texts me, I'm going to call him, and I'm going to text back within that next hour. And I think if you can just build that relationship, they're going to want to send players to you. Obviously, stuff's not going to just be built overnight, and so I'm excited for myself to get going here at USC, because I only had a few weeks in January, and so now I'll have some more ground covered this month of May. But I think the momentum's real to what we got going here at USC, and I'm just excited to keep it going.
We probably don't even know the answer to this, but what's the biggest number of schools that you visited during the evaluation period?
Obviously we're capped, but in a day, I mean, I try to get after it. The most I've probably hit in a day is 11. Back in my I try to start early and finish late, but you got to be smart with those times, right? You got to understand, like, when you're recruiting Southern California, you can't go from the Valley down to Long Beach, back to the city, down to the Trinity League, right? You got to be smart with how you map it out. I spoke with opposing coaches before, and they're like, okay, well, I'm just going to leave this city section school, and I'm going to go up to a school up in Calabasas area at 4 p.m. Good luck, right? And so
you're going to be the rest of the
day.
day.
You got to understand the lay of the land. I think now at USC, you got to see your priority prospects, and so I think the number of schools might be a little different. Obviously, we're still going to be aggressive and hit as many as we can, but like when I was at CSU, we're flipping over every stone to try to find that hidden gem. We're still going to do the same thing here at USC.
And I think that, kind of been sensing, maybe since Lincoln Riley got here, is the evaluation process is been not 100% spot on, but it's been pretty big. How much do you guys communicating with the guys that are kind of specifically here to do the evaluations?
Everyone's got to be on the same page. Obviously, it starts with the head coach. It starts with Chad Bowden. I work with Max Stineker personally. Okay. He helps me with the tight ends and inside receivers. My graduate assistant analyst, Spencer Jones, he's always evaluating too. But really, for all of us to be on the same page, Dre Brown kind of oversees both sides of the ball. Really, if we're not all on the same page, eye to eye, you're in trouble. And so with the offer process, I'll stand on the table for what I like, but the head coach has got to like him, and usually we'll watch him as an offensive staff too. And if there's any reservations, people are going to voice their opinion.
Like if you go out to a practice and you see a guy that you've never heard of before, but it's like, man, I got to offer this guy. I mean,
I think it kind of.
Can you like offer him without talking to anybody else, like Riley?
Yes, we do have the ability to do that, but I think you just got to understand where you are at that current state, right? Where we are with our current number of commits, where that kid is in his recruiting process, right? Because at the end of the day, USC is USC, and so if the kid's got lesser offers and he gets that USC offer, he might commit on the spot. And so just because a kid has a good practice, I'm not a big one to just offer right on the spot, because you still got to do your homework. What if the kid's coming off 2 ACLs, right? What if the kid's not a qualifier? And so you don't want to offer a kid just to offer them, because you got to do your homework on the prospect. And I think once we check all those boxes and we can give those answers to Chad and to Coach Riley, then we can make the offer.
Is Lincoln Riley the...
But I try to, like when I go out, I tried to these last few weeks get all that information prior to go seeing these kids.
I was going to say, you probably don't go to many practices where you're like, who's that kid?
Right.
But you never know. Probably happens occasionally.
Yeah, no doubt.
Maybe it isn't even a guy you would be recruiting necessarily. You might even spot an edge rusher or linebacker.
Yeah. I mean, that happens all the time. And so if you see something like that, I'm not going to step on toes, but like say if there's a linebacker, then I'll let the defensive staff know, hey, I saw this kid, you guys should evaluate
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Do you know your schedule for May? We're not asking for it, but do you know how many like states you're going to be traveling to?
Quite a few. Obviously, stuff changes here and there during the month of May. With you might be going to this state, but stuff might change. I'll be in California, in Hawaii to start. Then I go to Texas, back to California, Arizona, Nevada, and then I think I'm in Florida the following week. Back to California, so I'll be all over. I don't have it memorized, but Max has done a great job. He's got everything mapped out.
Yeah. I need a Max.
I'm really just focused on this upcoming week because after that, stuff can change. Guys can either fall off the board, guys can go up on the board, and so your priorities change. But right now, I'm just booked for the next week.
Okay. Anything?
No, I'm just coming to hang
All
out.
right,
How's it going? I'm Ryan.
How's it going?
Officially met.
Nice to meet you.
I'm Scott, by the way.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, yeah, thank you.
And Ryan, yeah, good to
Yep,
see you.
thank
Thanks
you.
so much.
Well, I'll go for a couple more
Okay.
since we're here. You hear a lot about chemistry, culture, and that. We hear that all the time. But I don't know. It just seems like it feels like there's something different about right now. How would you describe the culture?
Well, it's hard to describe it just because I
Yeah,
wasn't here the last 3-5 years, right? Even 10 years. I don't know what it was like here at USC.
Yeah.
But all I know is that these last few months there is a good energy, and people that have been here back in the day and then compared to what they're saying now, they're saying there's a good energy and it's definitely going in the right direction. But again, I think we're really just getting started. But like Coach Riley says, we're coming for it all. And so these people got to be ready for it.
Do you have a sense of how many guys you would like to bring in this recruiting class if you're willing to share some of that?
Yeah, I mean, recruiting is very fluid nowadays.
Yeah.
You might have a number of 2 or 3, right? But it kind of just depends what your current roster does too. How many seniors you might have departing, or maybe you have a guy that might be going to the NFL draft next year, and so those numbers are constantly changing. Tight end, we'll probably we're going to look at taking 2, and then inside receivers we'll look at taking 2, possibly 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
How was it? Just curious. How was it for you watching Tory Horton draft the other night?
It was special. I didn't get to see it, so I FaceTimed him Thursday, the day the draft started. Just FaceTimed him, just said just cherish the moment. Everything that he's done is he earned it himself, and then sent a text to him and his family, the same thing, just reiterate my love for those guys and how special it was to be a part of his journey. And then he got drafted Saturday. We were in the middle of a practice, but right when we got off, I FaceTimed him, so it was special. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, good spot.
With bringing on Chad Bowden, you hear a lot about he's very like. In fact, I was just talking to somebody yesterday, and you and Chad are the 2 guys that this guy talks to the most.
Okay.
How does Chad help you guys out? In what ways?
I think just how he structures our operation. There is structure, and so you have a plan to follow. I think when there isn't structure, sometimes people go rogue, but he understands this is how we're going to evaluate, this is how we're going to rank, this is how we're going to bring kids up, this is how we're going to meet, and so the vision is understood amongst everybody in the room, and I think when that happens, it's easy to pull the rope in the same direction. If guys disagree, they're going to have a conversation about it, and they'll obviously work things out because there's no egos here in the building here at USC, which I really enjoy. But once there's structure and there's a vision, it's easy to execute that. And all it takes is just explaining what your vision is.
Has your time here met your expectations, exceeded your expectations, and in what ways maybe?
I mean, I really just came in hungry. Didn't really have any expectations. Obviously, when you get to a program like this, you're kind of just curious what the talent level is, how recruiting is. At the end of the day, the game is the game of football, right? And I think sometimes people complicate it. It's still, you got to have players that are built on the fundamentals of blocking and tackling, right? Guys that can have speed, guys that can catch the ball, and then you got to have good people that can run this operation and coach the players in the meeting room and recruit and evaluate and acquire good talent. And so just because I'm in a different logo now, I'm still the same person. Like I told you guys a few months ago, I didn't really have any expectations when I got here. I came in with an open mind, willing to learn and willing to hit the ground running.
I'm assuming you're going to go. Obviously, you're going to hit the road and go see guys that you guys are specifically recruiting, or guys that you specifically want to look at. Do you still go to schools just to make sure you go there and stop by?
For sure. Yeah. There's always going to be one kid at a school. You never know.
Yeah.
And so we're definitely going to make sure we check off all the boxes within our areas or where we're supposed to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll definitely hit majority of those schools on the areas I'm supposed to be going to. Yeah. Because I mean, you see it all. I mean, when we were at Nevada, we had players from the city section that I believe all those players. When I was at Nevada, we had Romeo Dobbs, Dayon Henley, Daniel Grigiak. Those guys were city section players, and they're all in the NFL right now.
Yeah. So you had a bunch of guys this place should have gone after.
And then you look at a guy like Tory Horton. I mean, he had 2-3 offers out of high school, and he was just a 5th-round draft pick. So
yeah,
it's
people definitely notice that.
Yeah, I mean it's real, and USC's had players like that in the past where you've had a guy that's got 1, 2, 15 offers. At the end of the day, they can only sign with one school, right? And I think recruiting's changed nowadays because just because another Big Ten or SEC schools offer the kid, we can't just offer him. We still got to stand on what we believe for, and we can't go off the side and go rogue just because that school offered him. If we don't see it and we don't believe it, you can't offer the kid.
Okay.
And so you got to stand tall in what you believe in.
How do you, as a coach, obviously when you're recruiting, you're building that relationship, but when you come in new and there's already guys in the room, how do you kind of quickly gain their trust as like their new mentor and evaluator?
I always talk about trust is built through communication, demeanor, and actions. I'm going to do a great job communicating on how we operate the meeting room, how I lead the meeting room in terms of how we install things, getting them to know to a personal level outside of the meeting room, demeanor and actions, how I carry myself in the building, how I carry myself on the practice field, and then just how I act on a day-to-day basis. If they can see that, I think that level of trust is going to be built. It doesn't happen overnight. Obviously, these players are probably still trying to trust me, but I think we're, with all my players right now, if they were to look up, I think we're in a really good spot.
How you like? Obviously, you lived out here like recruiting, but how do you like actually living in LA?
I love it.
You
Yeah,
get used to it?
it's different this time of year because usually I'd be getting on a plane and going to get a rental car, but now I can just drive to those schools and be there within 15, 30 minutes and be home at the end of the night.
Any
So
new restaurants or anything you found, or you even have
no,
time?
I mean
DoorDash?
we hear quite a bit, to be honest, with some of the recruiting stuff, right? But yeah, I love the state of California. This city was special. I have family down in Orange County, so I was able to go to Easter with them 2 Sundays ago, whenever it was. So it was always nice to see a family for a holiday because in the past I haven't been able to do that.
That's cool. I grew up in Colorado, so I have like
Oh, is
tons
that right?
of buddies that went to CSU. So
Okay.
they all, as soon as you got hired, you're like, oh man, you guys got a good one. Coach Savage is sweet.
I appreciate it. I still follow those guys because nothing but respect and love for all those coaches, yeah, and especially Jay. I mean, he was great.
Yeah.
'Cause I was with him for a total of 6 years.
Yeah, from Nevada.
Yeah.
It's a good program.
For sure, and he's got him going in the right direction. I know they'll have a good year this year.
And you coming here, move Finley.
That's right, my guy.
So I'm like, it's all good.
Exactly. And he's a receiver guy at the end of the day, and so that opportunity opened up for him, and coach made the right move and moved him from tight ends to receivers. Yeah.
I don't know how you want to answer questions about the defense, but were there guys in the secondary that really impressed you?
There were. I think we'll have to revisit this question after fall camp.
Yeah.
But there were guys that definitely gave us headaches and guys that were flying around. Some of the jersey numbers and names I was still learning as spring ball was going because the first time I really got to be around the players when we did those in-dock workouts at the end of their winter training where we got to see the players and be around them.
Yeah.
Besides that, I was still trying to, hey, I'm Coach Savage, and just introducing myself. And then when we're out there, obviously the jersey numbers having a helmet on, but there's a lot of guys that stood out, and nothing but respect for Coach Reed and Coach Belk and what they're doing with their defense in the secondary.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned Makai being in the inside room. Has he kind of stood out to you? Obviously, a guy that kind of broke out last year and a lot of expectation for him this year. How's he looking through spring?
He's definitely got what it takes. was nursing that little hamstring injury that you guys knew about, but he's definitely trending in the right direction. If we were to play this Saturday, he would be playing and being suited up. And so I just finished my exit meeting with him, and we're on the same page on what it takes to go forward and what steps we need to take from both myself as a coach, both from him as a player. And so we're seeing eye to eye now. It's just time to take the right strides forward these next few months in summer, whether it's in the weight room with diet, and then just with our player development program, and then coming out there ready to go in fall camp so we can win some games in the fall.
I love the way he plays.
Yeah, he's got what it takes.
Thank you, Coach.
For sure. Yep. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm late to the party here, Coach.
It's all good.
When you first came, you know a lot of the guys from the recruiting world.
Yep.
What's been the adjustment to building that relationship with that team?
Just I kind of just touched on it, but just how I conduct myself every single day, how I communicate with the guys, how I install meetings, how I respond to their questions, do I know what I'm talking about, how I conduct the individual drills. And I think if they can see how I operate on a day-to-day basis, they'll respect me and they'll have that level of trust.